What's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking to a Ugandan gospel artist who has recently been gaining popularity online. Reason being, one of his songs that was a mystery for over a decade for online users was finally solved. For context, on January 14th, 2013, YouTube legend Filthy Frank uploaded the video How to Pick Up Girls in 30 Different Cultures. At one point in the video, he played a 3-second snippet of a gospel song while doing his bit for Kenya. Only thing though, he never credited the song or the artist. Fans immediately started wondering what the name of the song was, but sadly nobody recognized it. Even Filthy Frank himself went on to state that he did not know the name of the song, nor where he got it from, and so the song went mysterious for over a decade. However, on December 3rd, 2023, YouTuber NB Duckman uploaded this video titled The Search for the Filthy Frank Kenya Song, where he offered a $300 bounty for finding the lost track. Discord user Damn Peggy saw this video and searched for the song on YouTube by using the site's before insert year method. He searched East Ugandan Gospel before 2013, with this video popping up as the second result. It was discovered that the track we had heard for over 10 years thinking it was Kenyan was actually by a Ugandan artist named David SonJC, and the song being titled Katonda Ali Nawe, which translates to God is with you. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to say I have said artist with me here today. I'll also preface by saying I tried to ask different questions than NB Duckman has asked on his interview, just in fear of it being repetitive for David. So if there is a question that I didn't ask that you want David to answer, make sure to check out NB Duckman's video with him. I'll leave a link in the description for that video below. And with that said, please enjoy today's interview. Alright everyone, welcome back to another interview here today on my channel. We are here with the man of the hour, Mr. David SonJC. David, thank you so much for your time today. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you, Nikki?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for asking. Really appreciate the time once again for doing this interview. Tell me a little bit about your backstory. What were you doing before you got into writing music?
I want to say that before I got into writing music, okay, let me say, I started writing music when I was still a young person. I was still in my senior 4 then when I said, let me start writing. Senior 4, I don't know whether that side it is a grade, it could be grade 4, something like that. After the elementary level, the one which comes after. Here it's called secondary, senior 4. So around that time is when I wrote my first song. I was praying, I was worshiping God, and then God gave me the song, you know. And then I started writing my music then. And then, of course, then later, there was a lag there because from there, like, there are 2 levels. Like senior 5, 6, I went to university. And so while at university is when I began taking more interest in music deeper because I was in the choir, in the university choir. So how I gained more, you know, strength in writing music is I was watching songs of Hillsong, Don Moen, you know, such musician, and they used to write, you know, they would write words in their videos. And I got a certain pattern of writing words, or how they write music, you know, some from those videos. Mm-hmm. And in that way, I began writing songs more often because I could get songs, but I could not always manage to write. And you know, somehow after watching those videos for those songs with words in them, it gave me some picture of how songs can be written. So I began writing songs while I was at university more often.
Okay, so you already had a little bit of a musical background then. So you said you were in the choir at your university, and alongside your musical background, a big influence on your writing was God, correct?
Yes, so much.
Okay, that's cool. And so, like, and when you say like the writing of the lyrics on the video, are you talking about how they're structured? How like they'll have like a few words like this, and then like this, and then some like this, like how the verse itself is structured?
Yes. So now the way the lyrics were written there, it gave me a picture that I never used to have, you know, when writing. So when I say videos of people like Hillsongs, Don Moen, plus other musicians, you know, especially from the West, gave me a big picture, you know. Yes, like Mary, Mary, those songs, I used to watch those videos and they gave me a big picture on how to write because I used to sing. I could easily compose songs. I would listen to a song and I create my own song from it, You know, I was a little bit musical from childhood. You know, we didn't have a lot of, you know, for example, I can tell you in Uganda, we never had so many radio stations. We never had so many TV stations. We had a few. So if a certain song was hitting, it could hit the whole country. And sometimes those songs, I could find myself rehearsing them, creating other songs out of them, but I never used to write. So I had a musical background. My father was a person who loved music a lot. So he would always play music on a cassette. Those days in the 90s, we had cassettes, you know, so he could play music like over the whole weekend, times in the morning, and those songs could always, you know, play in my mind, in my mind. So that's how my music background started a little bit.
Okay, cool. So like I personally collect CDs, so I understand the physical media, but like I don't have many cassettes, but I understand that cassettes were huge in the 90s. So not only did you have some influence from your university, but your father loved music, from what you said. Were the artists that you were watching those music videos for, were they Western artists, you said, like from America, the UK, artists like that? Or were they more artists from Uganda or Africa?
Now, I've told you of some artists like Don Moen. He was an American. His song was an Australian. That was Mary Mary. That was at university, you know, because at university we are mainly, you know, we're watching these on videos. You know, we were not watching TV so much. You know, when you're at university, sometimes you're so much into, you know, you just play recorded music, recorded videos and everything. Now, when we go at home, as I told you, we had, in Uganda, we had a few TV stations. So you'll find that on a certain, there would be a certain musician who would be played more, or certain musicians. So on TV in Uganda, we had musicians from Congo, you know, who could always be played. Congolese music, like you had guys like Kanda Bongman, Pepe Kale. Those were the musicians playing on TV there. We had Americans, you know, we had Ugandans there. Of course, I want to say that there was a lot of music from Uganda I was also listening to. I was just trying to make the music probably that you would be familiar with. But even in Uganda, we had musicians who were playing. But then they were not very musicians the way they are right now. So a certain musician would be known so much because Uganda had a few musicians. Even recording music itself was hard. In Uganda here, we always had to go to Kenya to record. So you can see the picture, we would have very few musicians, but there were very many. We had a number of Ugandan musicians I was following here also.
I remember you mentioned in your other interview that like even up until like, I believe a decade ago, there wasn't the technology for in Uganda for when it came to like music making, music production wasn't as readily available, right?
Yes, yeah, okay, by 10 years ago, at least we had started. But let me say around 20 years ago, the musicians in Uganda had to go to Kenya to record music, even to shoot videos.
Wow. And so like, I imagine hopefully it's a lot better now in 2024 when it comes for Ugandan artists.
Yes, it's quite better. And actually we have so many Ugandan artists, so many, they are popping up everywhere. Once you produce a song, it is even very hard to be known because there's a lot of competition. Very many TV stations with this digitalization. You find very many TV stations. So maybe the increase the number of TV stations has also increased the people's music being played. There's a time when we had a few TV stations, and yet the recording had started. So people would struggle to find the music played. But right now, with so many TV stations, even the chance of your music being played on TV has also a little bit increased. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's good then, because like, even though there's more competition now, at least more stations are readily available. You can see more music happening throughout the country. Yep. So you'll love to see it. You mentioned in your interview with NB Duckman that you became a born-again Christian. Is that correct?
Yeah, as I told you, in my senior 4, when I was still a student, I was already born again. I became born again in my junior 1, let me call it junior 1. Okay. That's when I got born again. I was around 14 when I got born again.
Was there like
I'm now 41, somebody can interrupt.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, that was... Okay, so you've been a Christian for a very long time now. Was there like a certain event or moment in your life that inspired you to become a born again?
I come from a background. My mother was from a family where we had the father of my mother was a reverend. Reverends are in here we call it Church of Uganda. It originated from Church of England. So even from childhood, my mother could always wake us up in the morning to pray. You know, she would wake us up in the morning to pray. In the evening, we would pray. She would read the Bible. So I come from such a background. So I was first of all in the Church of Uganda, when we say which comes from Church of England, and then I was there from all of my childhood until around O-level, senior or junior one when I got born again. And my mother, when I was young, used to tell us things like, that was hell. That was one of the things that scared me most, going to hell. That was the first thing that made me to think about God more when I was young. But, you know, of course, there were challenges. But from that moment when I was young, it inspired me to become born again. So I became born again in junior one. But let me say this, around my primary 7, elementary level 7, there's a musician that came from the United States of America. He was called, I think, Angelo, something like that. He was a gospel artist. And he came and he sang music in a certain church. It's called Watoto Church. Then it was called KPC. After singing, he called people to come in front and get born again. But as a young child, then I just went in front there. Out of excitement, I wasn't really serious. So I just went in front. But I think from that moment when that guy prayed for me, something changed. And a year later, when I was in junior one, that's when I got born again.
How about, it's like when you least expected, like you were just going there just for the music itself, but then you realized that it actually had an actual influence on you. It sounds like your childhood and your upbringing, you can see it in the music that you've been producing now for years, that like it has a huge influence because your music is very much about being a positive influence, being, you know, one with God, embracing God, and just overall, like, you know, we're all God's children, like just to be a good person, you know?
Can I say something? You've mentioned about my childhood growing up. I've grown up in a childhood where, of course, it has a Christian influence, but I want to say this, that also my childhood was hard. You know, I grew up, you know, my family were not doing very well financially. My parents were elementary level teachers in Uganda. Here they were paid very little. We were 6 of us. They had to pay us school fees at some point, our tuition. It was not easy. And then around my junior 4, my daddy died. So it was not always easy on my side. And we had to believe a lot. So you see, in my music, I encourage people a lot because I know what it means to go through hard times. I know what it means to believe for food. I know what it means to believe for school fees. I know what it means to keep a positive attitude. So that background of mine, you know, influences a lot of my music. Yes.
And well, first, let me say, I'm very sorry for the loss of your father. You know, he's in a much better place now. He's much happier. So, you know, you have my condolences. What you said there actually kind of leaded into my next question, and you kind of already answered it, but I'll just ask it anyway. Whenever you create or write a piece of music, what message do you want people to take away from your music?
Okay, let me say the first and most influential part of my music is God. As I said, I'm born again, Jesus. I want people to know that Jesus is above all, that Jesus is the King of Kings, that Jesus is ready to help them in everything. In Uganda here, people always don't just go to anything. When you tell them that so and so can help them, so and so, if you want them to allow Jesus in their life, they want to know that Jesus has power. We're in a country where people believe in superstition, they believe in demons, they believe in their forefathers. If you are bringing a message to them, they want to know that this person you are selling to them, does he have power? Can he do things? Can he change their lives around? So I want to sell Jesus as somebody who is powerful enough to help them in that situations.
A lot of times when people, you know, do things that, you know, either like maybe prostitution, doing things like drugs, a lot of times, like when people do those kind of things, they don't have like someone to look up to, either like a god or religion, and like they kind of feel like that once you leave this earth, that's it and it's pointless. So you want your message to be that like Jesus is king, like he is above all and he loves all of us. Am I getting that right?
Yes. I want them to know that Jesus is the answer. I want them to know that Jesus is their comfort, that Jesus is their help. Jesus is there for them, and it came for them because many people, as you say, they are not aware. They don't know the power of God. You know, they are disparate. And you and I know that there's a lot going on in the world right now. Wars are taking place everywhere, in Ukraine, in Israel right now. And I'm a fan. I want to say that I watch a lot of those things to do with warships, with aeroplanes and everything. I'm always reading about things, and I see how countries are gearing up literally for World War III in such a way. There is a lot of hardship going on. Countries are taking their monies in other things, and people are suffering. There's a lot of financial constraints. Even in Uganda here, we felt it when Ukraine and Russia held their wheat there. Here we suffered. We couldn't get wheat in Uganda, and so many other things. There's some point when there was an issue during COVID where our oil was coming from some country there in Asia, and it stopped coming, and everything hiked up. So a lot of financial constraints are taking place. People having hard time to take school fees, to give school fees. By the way, I didn't tell you I'm a secondary school teacher. So
you are
I witnessed
nice.
this. Yes, I'm a secondary school teacher. I witnessed students struggling to pay school fees. School fees seems to be so high. So these are some of the things people need to be encouraged. People need to know that God can help them. God can take them out of those issues.
I'll be honest. So I obviously, from my background musically, I didn't know a lot about Ugandan gospel music, or pretty much gospel music in general. But like when I was doing my research on you and I was watching your music videos for your songs, I noticed something, that there's a simplicity to your music videos, but I mean that in the positive way, because your music video, it's just people they have each other in the music video, but they seem happy. Like the first word I thought of when I was looking at the music video for Katonda Ali Nawe was just like there was peace, which is as someone who lives in America where it's very materialized, where things such as being rich, being powerful, that's what everyone wants. Seeing something where it's all about just being with each other and just embracing God and being at peace with yourself, I think it's a very refreshing thing to see, and a change for someone in America. And I think if people had a more simpler mindset and just embraced an inner peace within themselves, I think we would have such less problems in the world.
You're right. Let me say that peace in me. First of all, it is Jesus, it's God that gives me that peace. But still, that peace didn't just come around. That peace came to me in such a moment when I always went to pray. Even right now, I go to pray. When I'm finding hard situations going around me, I go and pray. So in praying, God gives you strength. In praying, God gives you peace. And let me tell you something. In Uganda here is one of those countries where people are somehow peaceful. Okay, they have issues, they have peace. But in Uganda, we are people who are not so materialistic. Okay, of course, people are materialistic, but we don't look at very high things. People can get satisfied at even something smaller, as small as if they can have a meal a day. Ugandans are such a kind of people. If they can have a meal a day, they will be happy. They will play. They will do this. They will do the other. We're in a country where, of course, even me sometimes it surprises me. Somebody earns money and he goes to work and earns that day's wage, and then he will show you that he has gone in a bar somewhere to spend that money without saving. In Uganda, people are not so much worried about the future. People trust more in God. We're in a country where sometimes, there are things I don't do, I can tell you that. You find somebody giving birth to children. You people in America control how many children you produce, 1, 2. Here we have people, they can give birth to 6 children and they say God will take care of them. We're in such a country. Yes. So for us, Ugandans, even those who are not deep in God, they know that somewhere there is a financial being who always takes care of their problems.
And I think that helps a lot of Ugandans live in the present, because a lot of people, not just in America, but in a lot of places around the world, they're not in the present. They're constantly thinking of the future, or they're constantly missing the past. I think what you said is really good. Yes. That a lot of people in your country, they know how to live for the moment. Like you said, if they can just have that one meal a day, they're happy, they're thankful. And if they can see their mom and dad, they're happy, they're thankful. And it's really just about living in the moment and being in the present sometimes,
Exactly.
With a lot of that said, I do want to move on into the song itself, Katonda Ali Nawe, the reason why we are here. Your song, Katonda Ali Nawe, was the song that was used in that one Filthy Frank video way back in 2013. Since being properly identified, as of right now, me filming this, it has garnered over 80,000 views. What is the backstory behind the creation of this song?
Yes, song time when I used to write so many songs then. I would write songs every other day where they were too busy, but I could always find myself writing songs in the night. And so that time that song came to me in a dream. And in that dream, of course, previous in those days, I'd been having some challenges, sometimes having weird dreams, and I would get scared and I would say, oh my God, what's this? So at one time, I slept, and as if God was answering my prayers, and I had people singing, a large group of people singing, Katonda Ali Nawe, Ali Nawe, Ali Nawe, Katonda Ali Nawe, Ali Nawe, Ali Nange. So I had that sound, but it was a crowd of people singing.
Mm-hmm.
And I woke up. It was more of the chorus. Yes, the other parts, I wrote them when I woke up. And, even when I woke up, as if it was a continuation. So it came in a dream. And inside me, I was like, what, these angels? Or, something like that. That was the background. And that was as far as around 2009 there, 2010.
So the song originally came to you around 2009 and 2010?
Yes, around there.
So
in a dream.
Because a lot of times as an artist, sometimes we'll have an idea in our head. It won't exactly be the same when we actually create it. When you created the chorus for your song and you had an actual choir singing that, did it sound exactly how you pictured it in your head?
Like when I produced it?
Yes.
The choir came out the way I pictured it. Let me say, I had a very good producer. He was very sensitive. The producer for this particular song was very sensitive. Though somehow the instrumentation somehow would have, what can I say, the machines he was using could fall short a little bit here and there, but at least he was a very good, he was a very good, instrumentalist. Mm-hmm. And somehow it came out. I told him I wanted to sound like a large group of people singing. So even when you hear that song, you hear literally a large group of people singing. That's what I wanted him to do.
Okay, and I think he does it very well because I absolutely love the song. It is, like I said, it's just a positive song to listen to. As someone who also grew up in a Christian, with a Christian background, sometimes I find myself really wanting to understand my religion and just wanting to be at peace with myself and with God. And I feel like your song, that music video, it just conveys what we should be striving for, which again is more of a simpler, in the moment, peaceful, just simpler times, And I feel like at the end of the day, a lot of times that's what it's all about. The phrase Katonda Ali Nawe, that means God is with us, correct?
Yes. It comes from the Bible somewhere where the Bible says that the virgin shall give birth to a son, and his name shall be called Emmanuel, God with us.
You mentioned that this song came to you in a dream, and once you had the chorus from your dream, you wrote out the rest of the verse by yourself. What is your usual process when it comes to writing a song?
Usually, when I write a song, I usually get choruses first, and I build from the chorus, and I begin writing verses. I usually go to pray. I pray about it. It comes to me, I pray about it. God just opens my mind. Usually when I'm writing a song, things just begin flowing. It's as if the tap has been opened. My mind gets open. I begin writing. But sometimes I can write a song for a week. I can write one verse, and after that I rest, I relax. Another verse comes along. I can write a song for a whole week, even for a month. I have songs in my book. I've written songs in my book. I have a book with over 100 songs. Wow. But you may find that I can go back in that book. I see a song I wrote about 5 years ago, and as I'm singing, I change things there in the song. And I want to say that the music I'm writing right now in 2024 is very different from the music I was writing 10 years back.
Really? How so?
Because music has evolved. Generally, yes. Music has evolved in the world. So you find that it's just that I'm not producing. But if I'm to produce my music right now, you would see that it's very different from the music I wrote back then, because of even the evolution that has occurred in the music industry.
Did you back then, for example, Katonda Ali Nawe, did you do any of the instruments yourself, or was that all your producer?
No, instruments, I had issues with instruments, partly because of my growing. I didn't learn so many instruments when I was young.
Mm.
So I didn't do any instrument in that song. Yes.
Okay, but are you producing your music yourself now in 2024?
Not yet. I've
Not
not
yet?
started. I am not yet there, but it's something I would welcome if I got a chance to produce my music. But in 2024, I'm still writing my music. Let me tell you this. I had relaxed a little bit in producing music because of issues here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when I got married, a lot of things changed, you have issues here, there, the schedule, the responsibilities and everything, and financial challenges. Some I relaxed a little bit, but I want to say that when I saw that song Katonda Ali Nawe coming back in such a way, blessing so many souls, it encouraged me. And I want to tell you that before 2024 ends, I should produce another song.
So we should expect to see more music from you by the end of this year, as from what I'm hearing, huh?
Expect something, especially from Katonda Ali Nawe. People have been asking for a new version of it, so expect something.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. I saw a number of comments, people asking for like a remaster or like an updated version in 2024. So I'm excited to see that, because a lot of times when a song on the internet gets unidentified, and when the song does eventually get identified, people are so fascinated with it by then because it was a mystery. So when a lot of people were coming to your song, Katonda Ali Nawe, and they saw, just like how positive and just how happy the song was, it was just like a really like refreshing thing to see, because a lot of music nowadays isn't so happy, isn't so positive, isn't so simple, it's all about like luxurious things. It's about sex, it's about drugs, maybe death, murder, things going on in the world. So like, and sometimes that's shown in other lost songs that would get identified. So it was just a refreshment to see a song get identified and it be so positive.
Yeah, you're right. Music has changed a lot in the current, even in Uganda, music has changed a lot. Mm-hmm. People are no longer as happy and no longer as simplistic as it was then. Actually, as I told you, my music has kept on evolving, to the current times, to the current times. Mm-hmm. But because of listening to and hearing the way people welcomed Katonda Ali Nawe, it has also changed the way I'm looking at how I should produce music, because it seems people want what was happening then there. But I want to tell you this, that even personally, I'm a happy person. I like being happy. I like being joyful. I don't like things that stress me. And so that's why you see, even in that song, I was very happy. That was me. I was trying to do something that is part of me. The Bible says that we should not be worried about tomorrow. Jesus said himself, what we shall eat or what we shall wear. So that is me. And people sometimes never know that I have issues that I'm going through, with challenges here and there, because I decided not to show my stress, move around showing everyone how I'm stressed, I'm having this problem. Mm-hmm. I choose to be happy. That is my choice, and I want to portray that in the music I sing. Yes.
Exactly. And you're putting that positive influence into the universe. So like, you're not showing the people the stressful times that you're going through, because you don't want to think about that. You want to think about the things that make you happy, that make you want to get up and be motivated, because sometimes life can be tough, especially if someone who's a married person, maybe you have kids, you have financial responsibilities. Getting back to what I said a little earlier, I said your song at one point was considered a lost song when it was still unknown because it was unidentified. We call that Lostwaves, and there's a number of other songs online that as of right now are still unidentified. Since your song has been discovered, have you by any chance heard other songs that are unidentified? Like, has anyone reached out to you and said, have you heard this unknown song, or have you heard this unknown song? Like, have you gotten any of that yet by any chance?
Oh my God. You see, this happened to me in December, a festive season in Uganda. I can tell you this, that I have been in the village. Here we have our villages also. So I was in the village, moving up and down, just come here. And even this Lostwaves, I'm hearing it, I've not known much about it, but at least I've been looking at songs. I've been looking at songs online. Lostwaves. There's one I saw as if it was Brazilian. But I've not gone deep. But I'm going to begin looking out more and more, try to understand the whole issue. Yes.
Yeah, it's funny you say Brazilian. Was the song called Fond My Mind?
I did take note of that, but the group was called Fond My Mind, something like that.
Okay, so on Discord, that's the name of the server that's dedicated to finding unidentified songs, Lostwaves. Fond My Mind was the name of the placeholder name of a song from Brazil that was unidentified for years. It just recently got identified a few months back. So as someone who's a huge fan of Lostwave, I highly recommend checking out a lot more other Lostwave songs because you get a lot of different flavors. Like some songs are rock, some are hip hop, some are pop, some are gospel, R&B, and it's just cool how like all of these songs, even though they're so different, because they've all gone unidentified, there's such a fascination with them because they're mysterious. I also saw on your channel, your original channel, not your new one, I saw back in 2010 you hosted a music show in front of an audience. With this newly found fame that you have, could we expect to see that in the near future again?
Yeah, you expect something better. You expect something that in the near future. Give me around 2 years. At least I'll do something like that. Or 1 or 2 years, I should do something like that. Katonda Ali Nawe, the new one, we are going to be produce. If I produce a new Katonda Ali Nawe, my children are here. Good morning. I expect to do something like that. You know, I expect to do something like that shortly. And let me tell you something. In the Katonda Ali Nawe, I want to produce the video with, if possible, even the audio with some of my students. You're going to see some of the students I teach. Yes.
Okay, so that'd be cool. You get like the class to sing Katonda Ali Nawe. Oh, okay.
Yes, I'll get a class. Yes, or a few students from every class, and then we shall sing Katonda Ali Nawe. You shall see that in the new song.
Well, there you have it, folks. There we go. We're going to have a class performance of Katonda Ali Nawe. I can't wait to see it. David, last question here before I let you go. As someone who is such a positive and spiritual person, what message do you have for everyone watching right now? Before you leave, what do you want to say to everyone? Before
I leave, first of all, I want to say, people, thank you so much for loving Katonda Ali Nawe. I want to encourage you and to tell you just what is in that message. That Katonda Ali Nawe, God is with you, Emmanuel, you know. And I want to say that God loves you. God thinks about you. No matter what you're going through, don't think you are alone. You know, always look up to God. No matter what circumstances, no matter what situation, look up to God. Know that God thinks about you. Don't worry. Don't give in yourself to worry. Hand over everything to God. And I don't want to say that you shall just go back and sit and you know, I don't want you to not to work. Go and work, you know, do work. If you don't have a job, pray to God. Pray to God, be a person who prays, because God hears prayers, you know. And I want you to always leave everything to God. Live for the present. Live like, I mean, I don't want to say that we should not plan, but I mean, don't worry. Give your worries to God. Give your plans to God. If you have a plan, give it to God. Sometimes you can be there worrying, planning this, and sometimes I used to go through that. Sometimes I would say I'm planning this, but in the process of planning, I was worrying. I found myself worrying through even plans, God, and you know, God will help you to go through all those things. So I want to encourage you, be strong. 2024, I believe God is going to has a lot in stock for you, even things you cannot comprehend. But as you continue in prayer, as you continue being positive, as you continue being optimistic, not pessimistic, you will see great things happening in your life. That's what I want to say.
Well, David, I think that's a phenomenal message to leave people with, because I think a lot of people can use a positive light like that. So I want to once again thank you so much for your time. This has been a phenomenal conversation. I've really enjoyed talking to you. I can't wait to see what you do in the future. And I speak for everyone in the Lostwave community when I say thank you for making Katonda Ali Nawe as well as all of your other music.
Welcome, Nikki. So I'm so grateful also. Thank you for hosting me today.
Of course, of course.
God bless you.